Hey guys, in this video I will be starting to talk about joins. And I know I've already talked about this a little bit, but I'm going to give you a bit of a review and hopefully teach you a little bit more. So basically a join is when you need to create like an imaginary table. Basically like let's say you have two tables, one over here, and you need some info from this, and you need some info from this, and you combine them together into one table. So I know that was a little confusing, but it's not that bad. So there's two types of joins. One's called an inner join and one's called an outer join. And you don't really need to worry about that yet, but I'm going to try and explain them a bit. Let me draw a few things and it'll make things a lot more clear. So the way you would design a database is you need to normalize it, and when you normalize it, you're creating extra tables to store your information in an organized manner without redundant or useless information, or basically a bunch of repeats of the same stuff, and then you get false stuff. Basically, you need to organize it, and the reason for this is to save space for one, because you have less information to store, and it's also easier to understand what's going on and how things are organized when there's not 5,000 rows of the same information. When you design a database, you create these extra tables. So you may, rather than having let's say you have a shop, rather than having all the customers and all the orders combined into one table, you'll separate that out into two tables so it's organized. And this is a relational database system, so these all connect in a certain way through foreign keys and primary keys. So here we have this table. This is going to be customers. So people who are customers of your store. And then every single time somebody buys something, you create an order. And an order, so like order number 732 was by the customer Caleb Curry, and he bought a new bike. So that would be an example of an order. So customers, orders, orders. No, customers, orders. Did I confuse you? No, I'm just kidding. Customers, orders. So now that we have that figured out, there's a foreign key of a customer. So who bought the stuff? The customer ID is a foreign key over to this table. This does not have a foreign key to this table. So basically, this will have a customer ID, but this will not have an order ID, because customer Caleb is not really related to the stuff he bought. I know you may think that's related, but what's buying a pair of shoes have to do with my address, my phone number? It doesn't really have anything to do with any of it. So on this over here, you can say the person who bought new shoes and a new bike was Caleb Curry. That's why it points this way, but it does not point this way. So that's how you explain that. Now, when you need to retrieve data, it can be a little confusing how things are working out. Because let's say someone comes into your store and they're like, I want a history of everything I've ever bought in this store, right? Now the way this is connected, you do not store the name of the people who bought it. You store the ID. So you have an ID, and these are the same number. So let's say 7, because I always use that example number. And I need a drink, give me a sec. The person comes in and they're like, I need a history of everything I've ever bought. Well, how do you tell which person they are or who they are? You can say, what's your customer ID? And they're like, what? So that's not going to work. You say, what's your name? And they're like, oh, my name is Caleb Curry. Then you go to your customers table and you say, select all the customers where their name is Caleb Curry. And you'll get maybe 2, alright? Because let's just say there's 2 people with the name Caleb Curry. So we have this one, and then we have this one. So then what do you do now? You say, oh, what's your phone number? And the phone number's, I'm not going to tell you. But anyways, and then, okay, well, it's not this one. So this guy right here must be you, Caleb Curry. Yeah, you get the point. So that's Caleb Curry. And then when you find that, it'll tell you the ID. So Caleb Curry has an ID of, let's say, 38. Now, after you figure that out, you go to your orders and you say, give me all of the orders where the customer ID, which is a foreign key, back to here. So the ID points back to here, this way. Give me all of them that have an order ID of 38. So we have oh, order number 703 was bought by customer 38, the ID of 38, and he bought a new house for his dog, right? So that is how that works. Now this is a little complicated. You can see there's a whole bunch of steps and a bunch of confusingness. Well, what you can do is you can actually simplify all this down into one query using a join. So what does this mean? Basically what you're doing is you're saying, give me all the orders where the customer ID, they're going to has the name of Caleb. So the customer ID of 38 points back to this table. Then rather than saying the customer ID of 38, you can say the person with the name Caleb. So we can say customer Caleb. So all that's really happening is you're taking the order, and rather than using like the ID 38, we're going back to this table and figuring out who it is. It's Caleb. And then we're going to take that and store it in the search, the query, to make things look more pleasant when you retrieve the information. So basically now, let me erase all this. We have a table, and then another table. We're going to have here, order ID, customer ID, and then what they bought. So bought. Originally, we're going to have order ID 382 was bought by customer ID 38, and he bought a house. But now, as you can see, this is all from this table because it stores all this. What we can do is replace this with customer name and get it from this table over here and retrieve it as Caleb. So basically this is doing everything you wanted it to do all in one step by using a join, which I haven't actually taught you how to do a join yet, but that's what I'm going to be teaching you in the upcoming videos. So hopefully that cleared things up. I know I probably just totally confused you, but don't worry, it'll make more sense, and watch my next video and it'll clear everything up. Thank you. See you later.